So what's good, Pisces? As I was doing the pre-shuffle, I kept on getting the Chariot trying to pop out. You feeling drive? Drive to move forward? Let's see what you got. Pisces, High Priestess in reverse. Maybe it's needing to look into your intuition. First card out. I don't know if I want this in reverse. I'm not sure if it was supposed to be, but let's say we're going to start from the right side up. I mean, this is you coming out, High Priestess initially. This is intuition. This is listening to your emotions. This is spirituality, going within. This is also High Priestess, someone who communicates with spirit, who delves into the ethers of dream states and illusions. She also knows many things, but she never says. Maybe that's what's needed right now, is to keep your inner knowledge within you. If it came upside down, maybe it's you wanting to speak your truth. Maybe it's you needing to look into yourself and your own intuition to see your truth. Maybe you're holding on to something for a while and you're ready to speak your truth because you needed time to figure out what that was. And you took a time out to do that. What crosses you? You have a lot of responsibilities, a lot of burdens, a lot of things that you have to be responsible for and keep in order. And it seems like you've been trying to keep on top of this for a long time. Now, the High Priestess as well, you know, she's definitely one to communicate with the divine and the spiritual realm and the ethers. Maybe even so much so that, you know, she can be lost within herself in that ether and that space and going within, that sometimes she's not aware of what's going on around her. And it's not only about maybe figuring out how you really feel about things can sometimes be an obstacle for you. You might have an Aquarius moon or something, because I don't know, that's how I feel a lot. But you do have her inner knowing and inner awareness, and sometimes it's needing to listen to that, because sometimes maybe you don't listen to your intuition a lot. You have a lot of things going on for you, and you're trying to keep things balanced. Maybe you've been trying to keep a lid on things and not say much, but then things are coming up because you feel so overwhelmed a lot, and you're trying to keep things organized and in order, to trying to get things together so everything's not so much of a burden. Your foundation, the cause of your situation, the devil. It could be addictions, it could be rumination, obsessions, control, maybe you're trying to control something, or something's trying to control you, or maybe you have a lot of addictions, a lot of escapisms that kind of keep you distracted, or not, maybe have a tendency to go off track a lot, but sometimes people come in to throw you off track. Maybe a lot of people that come in and without the best intentions, and it throws you off because, you know, it's somebody that kind of wants to take a chunk of you and leave. The past, 7 of Clubs. Now, you were trying to be victorious. Maybe in the past that you try to stay on top of things. You try to win. And you try to force your will onto things that you feel like you couldn't work, because you do want to nurture things, because you have a deeper knowing about people or feeling without people. Maybe it's a lack of intuition about people that you take on responsibilities of people around you because you feel like you want people to see you as victorious, or you want to win over other people. You feel like, you know, like you have to, in a way, like this need to be everything to everyone. And you have a tendency to kind of overdo, because you feel like every challenge, because of the people around you, because you have feelings for them, feel like it's okay to put all of that onto you. All of that responsibility. It's almost like an expectation that you would just take it on and carry it for them. All of the responsibilities. Like if you are dealing with a lot, nobody ever sees what you're dealing with, but then they always contact you to help them with what they're dealing with. But whenever you need something, is anyone really around? And what is it that you're really putting your energy into and fighting for if no one's really even fighting for you, Pisces? What's your goals? Your conscious awareness, the best that can be achieved in the situation. Knight of Swords, you speaking your truth, coming in and speaking your truth about things that you no longer want to do, you no longer want to accept responsibility for. Maybe you can be Maybe you had a lot of history with not speaking your truth before, and maybe you just went along with things and just, that's why people expected you to carry all of this for you. And now you're speaking your truth, and it's surprising people. But that's the thing that you have to do. You have to start listening to your intuition and what else is everybody contributing to you, to see that, what is it that I'm really fighting for? Is it worth it for me? Is it reciprocal? If I ever need anything, would they do that for me? And I'm not even saying that it's like you only do to get, not at all. But it's about having boundaries, and it's good to give, and you should give without expecting. But if somebody's around to take all the time without having any intention of giving back, or just kind of like a vampire, and it makes a habit, it's kind of enabling a toxic situation. It's constantly allowing it to happen, perpetuates, you know. It's like a cycle that you unconsciously perpetuate, that people come in and put all their stuff on you, and you just kind of just take it, you know, as in like maybe a reflex, maybe of something that you were taught in your youth. But now the best you can achieve is to cut that out, speak your truth, and no longer just expect it, like carry everyone's responsibility. you're not the scapegoat that goes out into the desert as a sacrifice for everybody's sins. You're not Jesus, although they say Jesus was a Pisces, but still. Maybe this was a role that you accepted in your youth. Maybe in a way you've had this expectation with other people as well. That you went at them and say that you have to do for me. With an expectation like they should be there because you would want it. And maybe you went into a lot of situations where you force things and you put a lot of energy into things. But if you have to force it, you have to understand that it's because it's not your time to have it and it's not for you at that time. And if it takes more energy than it gives out, then it's something that you have to put your boundaries up and speak your truth about and stop giving your energy to it and start using it for what you need to manifest. Because what your future is right before you is betrayal. You feel betrayed. It's a betrayal that's going to happen in front of you, Pisces. You feel brokenhearted. You feel betrayed. You feel surprised that you put your faith into somebody and you feel like they let you down, but maybe it's a little bit part of being a little too dependent on other people in certain ways, that you give up your power. Maybe you didn't listen to your intuition about something and you were continually fighting for something. Continually trying to be victorious over something and work towards something. But if you have to work that hard for something, it's because it's not reciprocal, and it seems like you were trying to keep putting effort into something that wasn't working because you weren't listening to your intuition. And it's going to lead to heartbreak. It's like continually putting yourself into a situation that you know that it will inevitably change, but still feeling like you have the power to change it. But it's understanding that if it's meant for you, you wouldn't have to work that hard for it. You wouldn't have to do. Maybe you have a tendency to have different tactics in order to attain some things in a certain way. Or maybe because that's what you've learned and it's like a cycle that you've yet to see. How you see yourself, 5 of coins in reverse. You feel like you're coming out of a loss. You're coming out of a loss. There was an ending that happened, and now you're trying to pick yourself up financially. You're trying to balance yourself financially, and it's, you don't want to feel like you're lacking anymore. You don't want to feel dependent on other people who just kind of let you down. How others perceive you. And this is your environment, your home, and your surroundings. That which is outside of yourself. And how others perceive you. They see you as a soulmate, and they love you. And they do love you. But, sometimes love isn't enough when you have personalities that don't really jive well. Or maybe you have addictions or control issues, or somebody has that of you, that it kind of drives people away. And it makes you feel brokenhearted because you feel like maybe this is even a sense of abandonment. Like when you get triggered that you're going to be abandoned, then you start this cycle out. It's like a perpetuating belief that you'll be abandoned, and you start to create situations that make that belief come true, or that fear that comes true. And they do love you, but is love always enough when you constantly are trying to force somebody to do what you think that they should do? And it ultimately drives them away from you. And even if it is love, it's like there's been so much situations, there's so much resentment and past things that happened. It's hard to let go of that, and then your fears kick in. And then you start playing out a cycle that ultimately brings you to where you are, and you get triggered, and then you act a certain way from abandonment issues possibly, or some kind of like fear. And then they get triggered, and then they react to you in defensiveness. And even though you love each other, it's just, there's no talking right now because like tempers are high, everybody's in their head, and they're not, and they see problems and conflict, and nobody's listening to each other, and then something happens and you feel betrayed because somebody doesn't do what you expect them to do, and somebody doesn't want to do what you expect them to do because they feel like they're being pressured, or vice versa. Now you're coming out of this. You need to listen to your intuition about something, because maybe you do kind of know it, but you don't want to see it. And you've been trying to stay victorious. You've been trying to make a certain result happen, and all it is bringing you a lot of conflict, and the inevitable is going to happen, or it has happened, and now you feel betrayed. And you're coming out of this now. You don't want to feel lack anymore. You don't want to feel like you have to force anybody or anything anymore, because you know that if people is for you, that they would be trying to meet you halfway. And even though you do have that love, and this is why you are heartbroken, and this is why you're trying to manifest what you want from this situation, you got to know if you're forcing it, then all you're bringing to yourself is just a lot of conflict. Your hopes and fears, the Queen of Swords, the lesson to be learned, blocking your development, your hopes and fears of attaining the goal, the lesson to be learned, blocking your development. Now, it's time to be logical, Pisces. Really, really logical. It's time to not just go by your feelings. It's trying to, or your, it's trying to not just trying to force things to the way that you want to go. You have to really look at the situation and be logical. If it's constantly like this, do I want this to be in my life, constantly working and fighting with this all of the time? Like, why are you fighting for this so much? Is it because they're resisting you? Or you're getting some kind of resistance, and you don't like, you expect people to do what they want you to do, or you want them to do, or they of you, like Like, say, for example, like if you have a mother situation that, or a wife situation, maybe you're a wife or a mother, or this could be, you know, it's like you want somebody to do something. You want a certain result. Maybe this of a partner, of a child, of a work colleagues, but you want them to do something in particular, and you feel like they should. You feel like it's their responsibility, but they don't see it that way. And maybe it's you needing to see, like, be logical and ask yourself of why do you feel like they should do what you want them to do, because you feel like they should? Like, what are you really getting out of this if it's just so much conflict filled, if there's so much resistance and fighting and arguing? Like, what, you know, it's not anything that's really good for you. It's like constantly trying to fill it with water, and it has a gaping hole at the end of the bucket, and you know, you're still spending your entire days trying to fill it up, and you know, without trying to mend the hole or getting another bucket. You know, it's like keep on fighting for a lost cause because you want to will somebody to do it. And I'm not going to say that anyone needs to do anything, but your hopes and fears, the thing that you should hold yourself back is to cut out people, places, and things that make you feel like this. That makes you feel like you have to compete and you have to stay on top of things and you have to pressure people to do things. Maybe it's even things that they should do, but it's like, even if they should do it, maybe it's knowing that maybe they're not the right person for the job. If you have to pressure them, if you have to argue with them, if there's no compromise, and all of it is like a power play with each other, and it brings the ultimate result if there is a constant conflict, especially right out from the go. It brings betrayal, brings heartbreak. You don't want to live in lack anymore. Maybe, and you want to come out of this. There was an ending, and this isn't going to be something that's a surprise. This is something that you kind of knew for a long time, and you've been kind of fighting against it, but now you're kind of done. You're done, and you spoke your truth, and you cut it out, and things were said, and perhaps like really, really aggressively. And maybe even in the heat of the moment that when things are said, it can't be taken back. What you need to do, instead of forcing and fighting and arguing and make somebody listen or hear you, and even if they should hear you, it's having to ask yourself a question, why, that you're still trying to get blood from a stone. Like, is it starting to see that it's like a lost cause to continually do the same equation and get the same result, and going back into it every single time and expecting a different outcome? But the inevitable happens, and and a separation happened, and it could be with anything, within a family situation, within a relationship, within a job. And it was because at the time you felt like you needed it. You felt like you were in lack, and you don't want to feel in lack, because even though you were fighting for something because you wanted it, you still were not emotionally fulfilled by it. And maybe it's knowing that the reason why you were still fighting for it is because they resisted you And maybe it was the whole resistance. Maybe this was continually wanting commitment and putting energy into somebody or a relationship. And it always turns out that these people have commitment problems. Maybe that was the same characteristic that they all share, was a lack of commitment. And maybe you find people like that as well, because in some ways you have a fear of commitment too, even though you might not consciously know it. That's why you keep on drawing people with a fear of commitment to you, because in some ways you have a fear of commitment. And consciously you want that commitment, and you're like, why do I keep on meeting the same kind of people? Well, you know, it's because maybe you keep on investing in people who are afraid of commitment because you're afraid of commitment. It's possibly a fear of intimacy. So it's like wanting to force someone to comply into a situation that doesn't offer you the intimacy that you feel like you want and need, but you also have a fear of sharing it or giving it as well. And that's why you invest in this person in the first place, because this person has a fear of intimacy themselves. And because you fear it, you unconsciously go for it. And because you know on some level, perhaps not consciously, that you won't get commitment from this person, but it's you not wanting to see it, and his or their or her continually resistance is the reason why you keep wanting to try to will your surroundings or the person into a result that you would want. And it's like, you're not happy though. You're not happy with the situation. It doesn't make you feel fulfilled. You know that it's toxic. And it's not even like it fulfills you or makes you happy anymore. It's like this need for control. And it brings conflict and fighting. The outcome, what you will gain from this experience. So this is more conflict. This is more fighting. This is gaslighting. This is gossip. This is like insults. This is like someone playing mind games with you. This is you feeling like you're in your head and you're fighting with people. And maybe it's time to let things go, because this is what's needed, and this is ultimately the outcome of what you're getting from it. It's time to let it go, Pisces. Because all it's going to bring is the same thing that you've always gotten from it. You know, what is that saying about the definition of insanity is going at the same problem and expecting a different outcome. It's time to let it go. This is the best that can be achieved with it. Conflict, fighting, gaslighting. Maybe somebody around you has a way of gaslighting you, or maybe you have a way of going around about things, of trying to make people do what you want to do, because it takes two to argue, you know, and it seems like you're not ready to drop the argument, but that's what's needed. You have to just cut out the people, places, and things that don't serve you, because all you're going to get is what you've always gotten. Bottom of the deck, 5 of clubs. This is more conflict. This is more fighting. This is competition. This is you feeling like you have to defend yourself by many different people, like you feel like you're being attacked by other people around you, and maybe there's a lot of gossip and talking and fighting with other people, and it's trying to constantly You know, maybe it's trying for you to constantly be on top of it. But whatever you're dealing with, it could be a toxic workplace, it could be a toxic family, it could be a toxic, I don't know. But it seems like a group of this. It could be in-laws that is even involved, or co-workers even involved, or like, you know, like a family unit. But then there's a lot of gaslighting, there's a lot of conflict, there's a lot of competition. And that's what it is. It's competition, and there's fighting, and it's making other people trying to move into your will or you, and it's just not worth it. It's time to give it up. It's trying to give up the fight, because all you're going to get is what you've always gotten from it, Pisces. And this is a really straightforward reading. I'm sorry you're going through this, Pisces, and it looks like you're going through a lot, and it's heavy. But the thing is, the Ten of Clubs, he's willingly trying to pick all of these up, and with all of this burden, and all you have to do is drop half of it. Keep what's yours and drop what's the rest, because if you keep on getting involved in things that you shouldn't, or putting energy into things that you shouldn't, you know that it's just going to bring conflict. And it's time to drop it and only pick up your burdens and deal with your burdens, instead of trying to control everything around you. And that maybe when you feel anxious, you have a feeling to control or try to control the situation around you. But when you do that, it's coming from a place of lack. And when you are coming from lack, you react in ways that maybe you're not very proud of yourself at certain times. This is advice from Spirit. Five cards, advice from Spirit. All that glitters isn't gold. All because it looks good, it doesn't mean that it is good. It's like that fool's gold, you know? You do all of that effort and time and work trying to mine gold, but it's worth nothing in the end. And you have to see if that's the same with the situation. Go the distance. It's time to go in a different direction. You know, maybe in the beginning you did have an idea of somebody or something or environment, but this is not what you expected it to be. It's not giving you what you want. And it's, you know, it's like beating a dead horse. It can't take you anywhere. It's time to leave and go the distance. Start listening to your intuition. And maybe deep down you knew this, but you didn't want to listen to it. And maybe this has been something that's been going on within your life, maybe it's a need to want to feel loved, or trying to overwork for love, and because you feel like you haven't gotten it, because you don't want to get that validation from other people, and it feels like you have been. But it's time to know that even if you do get it, and when you did get it at times, it still felt empty, because it wasn't coming where it should, is within yourself. That continuously looking for other people to have the answer is not the answer that you needed. It wasn't right for you, because you already know your answer. You have to look within for yourself. There's no longer a choice in this situation. You know, there's only one road to go. And it's time to listen to yourself within to start to see that. Because, you know, this isn't something that's like blessed. This isn't a happy accident. This was meant to happen in order for you to see maybe a cycle that you continually put yourself in. This isn't fated. You're not fated to continually have conflict. You're not fated to continually meet an awful person. You know, just the universe tends to bring up situations that tend to mirror the last one of lessons that you've yet learned. And you just have to learn that lesson into not investing in things that don't invest in you, that don't have the best intentions for you, that just want to take from you and that start depleting you. Because it's not yours to bear. It's not fated for you to always be like this. It's just until you see that cycle and you start cutting out people, places, and things that start reminding you of this cycle that you've always been going through. Bottom of the deck, it's time to go, Pisces. It's time to go. But that's what I got for you. I hope that was helpful. And I know you're going through a lot. I'm sorry. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe if that did resonate, even though I hope it didn't, because, you know, it can be a good thing, actually, because this person looks like they were driving you through hell, and it's time to exit that hell, because this looks like hell. This looks like however long you dealt with this, it was hell, and it's time not to, you know, it's time to, you know, book a ticket out of hell, Pisces. But maybe this is the planet alignments right now, you know, could be your, you know, and maybe you feel blocked because whoever this person that you're putting all this energy with, you know, you're keeping yourself blocked by keep on dealing with this. You know, invest in things that make you feel good and give you good outcomes, and not for what you think it could potentially be, but what resonates with you right now. But best of luck with you, Pisces, and I'll talk to you next month. Much love. Bye.